What if we use the RTX 4060 to play the latest AAA games on the Ultrawide 1440p monitor? Because why not? Let's find out. Today we paired the MSI Ventus 2X RTX 4060 with the Ryzen 5 7600X CPU as part of the Be Quiet PC build powered by MSI. And we'll be experiencing God of War Ragnarok, Black Myth Wukong, as well as Space Marine 2 on my favorite OLED monitor, MSI 3440x1440. If you're interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can find them at the links in the description below. Let's start with God of War Ragnarok, and to be fair, this is a fairly easy to run game. Wukong and Space Marine 2 are much more graphically demanding. To begin with, we'll test native resolution, DLAA, and ultra graphics quality preset, even though is pretty much maxing out our memory. So I'm pretty sure that we'll have to reduce that graphics quality. This is our baseline, 33 to 35 FPS. Not bad for such a cheap graphics card at ultra-wide resolution, huh? First thing we should do to improve performance is use DLSS resolution upscaling. Let's set it to quality. That lowers our VRAM usage and should improve performance. To my eye, DLSS quality on this monitor looks exactly the same as native resolution. Yeah, so I don't see any reason not to use it. This experience is already okay-ish because we're getting 40 plus FPS, but I think we should aim for at least 60 FPS, because on the wide monitor, low FPS looks kinda weird and choppy. I suggest we lower the graphics quality to high. And this is better. We're getting close to 50 FPS. Over here, oh, 44. Yeah, it's still not quite there. From here, there's two ways to go about it. We either leave the FPS as is and improve image fluidity with frame generation, or we could reduce graphics quality or DLSS resolution upscaling. I think we should start with frame generation just to see what that experience is like. Honestly, this game doesn't have the best implementation of DLSS frame generation. Yeah, it's a bit weird. I feel like the image is getting blurred more than I would have liked. Also, check out those frame rate spikes. As we pan the camera, those spikes are happening. I think that's part of why it feels so inconsistent. Yeah, I think that is it. That's why I think that we should not use frame generation in this game, at least not until the game developers will improve the implementation and make it run smooth. Instead, we should lower DLSS resolution upscaling quality to balanced. Oh, that's the wrong way. Yeah, balanced high graphics quality preset. Now we're talking. We're getting above 50 FPS in this scene, so let's go ahead and enter combat. See what that is like. Yeah, this is okay now. Feels pretty smooth. Consistent frame rate. Nice. The image quality on DLSS balanced looks acceptable, I would say. We could go lower to improve that FPS even further, but I think we're gonna lose way too much of that detail in the image, because when you upscale from lower resolution, those finer details such as grass and leaves, they start looking a little bit weird and pixelated. I think Kratos agrees with me that having pixelated graphics is not okay, so we're not going to use DLSS performance. Instead, we could improve performance further by lowering graphics quality preset to medium. And this delivers a consistent 60 plus FPS experience. Check it out. Yes. Punish him. There are no drops below 60. Sometimes we're getting 70 plus FPS actually. That's quite nice. At this point, for better performance consistency, we could use something like Riva Tuner to cap FPS at 60. And there we go. Flat frame rate graph, flat frame time graph. The performance is nice and smooth, and the graphics quality is still pretty good. The game is enjoyable, which matters the most. Let's try one more settings configuration. Let's increase the graphics quality back to high and use DLSS performance mode. That is 720p upscaled to 1440p. Personally, I prefer the previous set of settings, but this is acceptable as well. I mean, yes, if you start pixel peeping, you will see that the grass doesn't look as nice. It's getting a bit pixelated. Yeah, and some of those reflections are looking a little bit weird. I think that's because of the low resolution. Check it out. There's some flickering going on. Let me show you. You see that in the distance? Yeah, that flickering was not there. Hold on, let's see. Will it go away if we increase resolution, upscaling, quality? Hold on. So on balanced, we're still getting that shimmering. But if we increase it to quality mode, it is still shimmering. Hold on, is it just the game? Let's use native resolution. Okay, so at native resolution using DLAA, this looks normal. Check it out. So this is what the reflections should look like normally. I guess that reflection shimmering is just one of the compromises that we're going to have to make if we want to use the RTX 4060 with the ultrawide monitor. Because without resolution upscaling, this setup does not work. Let's go back to performance, DLSS and high graphics quality preset. In terms of performance, this is not too bad, but we are getting dips below 60. 56, 59 FPS. So using medium graphics quality preset delivered better experience in terms of image smoothness. There you have it. There's at least two set of settings that you can use to enjoy this game with this setup. Black Myth Wukong is definitely the most GPU demanding game out of this bunch, but frame generation works well in this game, so we'll be able to utilize that technology to improve our gaming experience. Let's get a feel for how demanding this game really is. We are at native resolution using very high graphics quality preset, which delivers subpar experience, 20 plus FPS. That simply will not do. I think we should aim for a good experience using high graphics quality preset. This is starting to look promising. At least we're getting 30 plus FPS now. We can work with this to improve the performance using DLSS resolution upscaling and possibly even frame generation. Normally, I don't mind using frame generation if we have at least 50 FPS plus. So let's try and achieve that with resolution upscaling, starting with DLSS quality mode. For that, we have to set resolution to 67%. Finally, we're getting somewhere. Close to 50 FPS right now, although there are drops to 46, 47 FPS. But this is already an acceptable level of performance to play this game comfortably. Obviously, if you want to go hardcore, then you want 60 plus FPS to lower that control's latency to be able to dodge precisely. But if you're a casual player like me, then this performance is good enough. Let's try frame generation, shall we? That improved image fluidity nicely. We're now getting 60 plus FPS. And since frame generation implementation is quite good in this game, I would not hesitate continuing playing this game like this. It is quite enjoyable. But let's try another set of settings. Let's disable frame generation and go for DLSS balanced mode, that is 58% resolution. Of course, there is an image quality hit if we use DLSS balanced, but look at that performance. We are now getting 55, 54 FPS, sometimes dropping to 53, 52, and that improves control's responsiveness. But I think there's a better alternative. Let's go back to DLSS quality mode and lower the graphics preset to medium instead. The game still looks alright, and now we're getting above 60 FPS. I think this is the best experience to aim for, because the controls responsiveness is just brilliant. Yeah, this feels nice. Let's test it out. Let's go. Come on. Go for it. Yeah. Controls responsiveness is better. I like this. This experience looks good enough, and we can actually use frame capping to get rid of those stutters. I'm going to cap the FPS at 60 and see what happens. Check it out. We're not getting those frame time spikes and frame rate spikes anymore. This is a smooth experience with just a few tiny dips that are pretty much non-existent. I honestly can't feel them. The gameplay feels smooth. For better image fluidity, we can use frame generation on top of this. 70 plus FPS. The image is smoother now, although it's not like it's a day and night difference, because we went from 60 FPS to 70 FPS. Yeah, it's not a huge difference. I prefer the previous set of settings where we weren't using frame generation, because capping that FPS at 60 delivered us brilliantly smooth experience. Unfortunately, frame capping doesn't work well with frame generation. Lastly, let's take a look at Space Marine 2. We are at native resolution, and in terms of graphics quality, I think we should aim to get a good experience on high graphics quality preset, because ultra graphics quality preset requires extra memory, and medium graphics quality preset doesn't provide us with any kind of meaningful performance improvements. That's why I think high graphics quality preset is the way to go. And right away I spot that we are not going to have a good time in this game using these settings, because we are barely scratching the surface of playable with 35 to 37 FPS in the starting area. We definitely have to make some adjustments. Let's start by introducing DLSS quality mode. And right away, that made a huge difference. Check it out, we are getting close to 60 FPS now. In other less demanding scenes, we're even getting 70. However, the fact that we are already experiencing drops below 50 in this area tells me that we are not going to have a good time when the time comes to eliminate large swarms of enemies. Yeah, the FPS will definitely drop to something like 40-ish. That is why I think we should go ahead and use a more aggressive resolution upscaling. Let's set it to balanced. Now with 60 plus FPS, I think we have a good chance of having a good time. Whoa, that was awesome. And yet, we're getting 50 plus FPS sometimes, 52, 55 FPS. Just to let you know, this game is CPU demanding. And, you know, the fact that we have a 6-core Ryzen 5 7600X in this build is not helping. This even isn't the worst case scenario just yet. We're gonna get to it in just a moment. Check it out. Even though we're getting dips to around 50-ish FPS, the gameplay is still enjoyable. I wouldn't call it super smooth, but I think it's fine. I'm slicing and dicing, enjoying the game. This is a pretty heavy area. Check it out. If we will be able to stay above 50 FPS in this area, I'll be very surprised. Here we go. This is it. A couple of enemy swarms attacking us, and you see, there are dips to around 50-ish FPS, 54. Oh my god, I'm getting destroyed. I need to replenish armor. Let's go. Execution. Yes. the gameplay is still smooth. Conclusion is, you can still have a good time in this game. The image quality presented on screen is pretty good. I don't have anything against it. Of course, if you're gonna stop and pixel peep, then you're gonna find that it's not as sharp as you might have liked, but honestly, when the action kicks in and you're slicing, dicing, fighting, you're not gonna be looking at any of that. You're just gonna be enjoying the gameplay. And to improve FPS even further, we can use DLSS performance mode. Now let's see what that is like. Yeah, we're getting a couple of more FPS. So if that wasn't enough for you, you can always get a few more FPS this way. As I mentioned, with the medium graphics quality preset, you're not gonna see that much of a difference in terms of performance. Let's check over here, for example. 59 FPS, yeah, and if we drop that graphics quality to medium and apply it, we're getting 66 FPS-ish. So I guess it is kind of helpful if you want to get a little bit of extra FPS, but it's not critical. Although I must say that it is nice not having those performance dips. Yeah, staying at 60 FPS-ish consistently feels a little bit better. Not significantly better, but a little bit. As you see, even when it comes to Space Marine 2, you still have options to make the RTX 4060 work on the Ultrawide 1440p monitor. In conclusion, it is very much possible to enjoy the RTX 4060 paired with the Ultrawide 1440p monitor. So, if you want to do this and pair a cheap GPU with an ultrawide monitor to enjoy the latest games, it is possible. Of course, with the help of DLSS resolution upscaling and by optimizing some of those graphic settings. So if you don't mind doing that, this is actually a pretty good combo. It gets my approval, and if you are interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can find them on Amazon at the links in the description below. Don't forget to reward this video with a like, let me know in the comments what do you think about this setup, and subscribe for more if you haven't already. It was I, Vadim. Until next time.